Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. We're still seeing some folks joining, so we'll give them another minute or two and then we'll kick off. All right, let's get going. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. Just a quick intro on our crew that we have here today on the user flow side. We have Alex, our CEO, Fate, our director of sales, Harish, our senior product manager, who is the brains behind everything we're showing today, and I am Lauren, the head of marketing. Thank you all again for joining us. We're really excited about this one because we're talking about a pretty fundamental shift on what's happening right now, not just in AI, but in how people actually use software. For a long time, the focus has been on giving users answers, whether that's through docs, tooltips, or even AI chat. But now we're seeing answers aren't enough alone. The real goal is helping users actually get to outcomes faster, easier, and in the flow of the product. And that's exactly what we're going to show you today. So let's do a quick overview of the agenda. First up, we will pass it over to Alex, who's going to quickly zoom out a little bit and talk about the product journey itself and how that's changing, because that context really matters for everything that we're building here at Userflow. And then Fates will take over and introduce the adoption agent, what it is, why we think it's a step change from traditional approaches. And after that, we will jump into a live demo and leave plenty of time at the end for questions and answers. And Harish will join us for that. So please ask any questions along the way that you have. And with that, I will pass it over to you, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren, and great to be here and welcome everyone. This is a sellout crowd that joined us and very excited to be here. I am myself dialing in from Los Angeles today, although I'm normally based in New York, and very excited to be here and show you the user flow adoption agent. But first, as Lauren said, let me start by just saying that it has never been a wilder time to build software. Never, ever. The amount of innovation that's happening, disruption, opportunity around software is unparalleled. And this is a little funny exercise that I do. Like I went to ChatGPT and I asked it with very little context, draw me the future of software. And lo and behold, it came up with, something, very superhuman-y, right? AI-powered coding, automatic generation of code, smart bug fixing, automated testing. It's painting a very, very positive and optimistic way around building software. However, wilder, and if you can go to the next slide, also means change, right? It means uncertainty. It means a lot of different norms. It means things that we're all trying to understand and stay ahead of. So if you're caught in all that, I want to share with you two things that guide me and the team here is first, you're not alone. We're all on this together. We're both learning and unlearning together. And I have very high confidence, we'll all figure it out as we've done it before. And I've been through paradigm shifts a few times in my career. I don't want to date myself too much. And we're going to rise through that uncertainty. However, to be able to do that and get through all this, we need to do things differently. We need to perceive things differently. So as a quick intro, I wanted to share 4 or 5 things that we're seeing right now amongst our 2,000 customers, our prospects, our partners, and how these things change our perspective and what we're building for all of you, but also how the customer journey with products is changing as well. And I expect you to relate to most of them. First and foremost, and this is an understatement probably, the way software is being created and consumed is changing. Who is building it right now is changing. It could be marketing is building software, sales is building software. People who are not trained technically are actually building software. Who is using it? We spend most of our careers, I spend most of my career building software for humans. But is it always humans that are using software today? How it is being built, the environments, the tools that are being used today to build software are very different than even 12 months ago. And lastly, how it's being consumed and used, that's also very different. Do users still go to a graphical user interface to process and consume software, or is software being invoked from their LLM of choice? So I don't think there are clear answers here, but I think the only connecting tissue is change. Secondly, the traditional roles around software builders are also being reinvented. Like, we're seeing product managers like becoming full cycle software builders, right? They discover what software to build, they do the requirements analysis, they code themselves and provide almost production ready code. On the other side of the spectrum, we're seeing product managers like, leveraging up and becoming GMs, becoming founders, having P&L responsibility in lots of cases for product lines. Very different career tracks and a lot of in between, right, as to where product managers are thinking about the roles. But those roles are being reinvented. The user personas are also evolving and changing, right? So we're using as humans being the business or even consumer software, users. But today we're seeing more and more agents using software, but also increasingly agents evaluating and buying software on behalf of humans or other agents. Very different environment. And of course, in what we do here as user flow, the product adoption guidance has evolved, right? From the time where we had technical documentation and static docs to actually creating and starting to create contextual guidance inside the app to chatbots that took us all by storm, right? Everyone had a chatbot on their websites or in their apps. And finally, getting into the next wave, which is, okay, can I embed agents that are providing very personalized guidance in real time, not, alongside our users? So all this is being obviously enabled by AI, and we're thinking very hard at user flow, what is the real AI unlock? And we're seeing, some of the most successful companies move from using AI from efficiency to actually creating new and increased customer value to actually obviously improving their growth and top line. And we're seeing three threads here in terms of what we're doing. The first one is, whatever you do in terms of product adoption, you have to be available whenever the user needs you in the format that the user needs you. And the user, again, could be, human or an agent. Personalization is table stakes. No customer journey of two users should be the same. There is no reason it should be the same. Users come with different contexts, different backgrounds, different experiences, and different objectives when they want to use software. And the third one is very important, right? And it's hard for me to say that CEO of user flow, but lots of users don't want to be trained how to use a software and learn all the different use cases that a complex piece of software can deliver. They have a very specific outcome they have in mind, and they want guidance. How do I achieve this outcome? Either show it for me, right, for this particular outcome, or do it for me, right? So connecting and getting to outcomes. So we ourselves, right, are following these trends very carefully, and we're trying to guide our direction and roadmaps towards those trends and how we best serve our customers and users. And under the term Flow AI, which is our AI brand, we're starting to release different features. Some of them already out, some of them are coming. Today, we're going to see the adoption agent that serve not only software builders, but also they're very relevant to the end users, which is the users of your software. So from generative features to make it very easy to create experiences for your end users, this is SmartFlow that we released a few months ago, to being able to proactively surface signals to software builders about the adoption performance of their software, so they don't have to go through dashboards and spend time going through dashboards. Recommending actions, right? The next step, like if we detect that users are stuck in a particular part of the customer journey, we can notify the software builders that these are the next best steps you should take. And actions can also be recommended directly to an end user if we detect that they're stuck towards the outcome that they want to achieve. And last but not least, the adoption agent, which is what we're going to talk to you right now, which lives with your end users and provides them with relevant guidance in real time, with the full context and with their intended outcomes in mind. So I'm going to pass it over to Faith. I thought that this context will be useful as we talk about those different features, especially the agent. No agent lives without context and why it's there and what it's supposed to do. So happy to pass to Faith right now, who's going to deep dive the new adoption agent.
Sounds great. Thank you, Alex. And it's good to chat with everybody. Normally I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm over near San Antonio today, but it's great to chat with you. So, I think that's good context. The AI adoption agent, I should say, in the time I've been at UserFlow, one thing that's always been apparent, right, is that we really care that the people engage with the things you build with us. And the reason for that is if they engage, you get the outcomes that you need, right? And most importantly, your users get the outcomes that they need. And the adoption agent, as with everything built with UserFlow, is centered around that premise. If you want to go to the next slide, Lauren. So what we do, right, with our adoption agent is you'll be able to embed it directly into your product. And similar to everything else with UserFlow, very simple embed, right? You just basically add some JavaScript. And what it's going to do, right, is it's going to scrape your documentation, any sources you give it, right, the different content you've built with UserFlow. And then it's going to understand what your user wants to accomplish. It'll answer their question. It'll give them context. It'll give them sources. But also what it's going to do is recommend the right action in app and actually launch the guided walkthroughs for them, right? So it's going to be able to help take them to that outcome directly, which is a really exciting development and something we're really happy about. Now, from your end, what you're going to be able to see with AI signals is where they're getting stuck, right? So what questions, are frequently being asked? What questions are people actually not happy with the answers? So you guys can go in and edit accordingly. You'll be able to see what flows are actually being triggered the most, right? And then, of course, you can go into your flows and iterate those over time, depending on who's actually triggering them and how often they're triggered. So it's going to be able to kind of help you, right, see what your users are asking in the product and, be able to help remediate that. All right, let's see it in action. I love doing live demos. So I'll share my screen.
No pressure, like a live demo, huh?
Right. Let me see here. I feel like I've been doing this exact process since COVID. I'm going to share it and then you tell me if you can see it okay. All right. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So one thing that's really important to us at UserFlow, right, is what's the expression? Drink our own champagne, or we eat our own ice cream, or whatever it is. We like to use our product and make sure it works effectively, right? And so we've been using it ourselves. So I thought a good demo would be to show what it actually looks like in UserFlow. So I'm in a UserFlow account, right? I'm in the Beamer account for UserFlow, right? And I'm going to go down here and actually ask the adoption agent a question. Let's say I want to know, how do I create a theme? The adoption agent is going to give me a really good step-by-step answer, the source for that answer, but also, as we see here, right, the guided walkthrough to take me through it. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now I'm in this walkthrough. So it's telling me to go to settings, select themes in the menu bar, right? Click on any theme here to start out. And then it's showing me where I need to go, right, to edit this theme accordingly. And I could continue, right, but just to show a brief example, right, that's what the flow would look like there. So very easy to actually trigger that. From the builder perspective, right, so from your perspective, very simple to actually create these agents, right? You'd simply go in, You'd put in your application name, language, if you want it to match your user's language and responses, how often you want it to be trained, if you want to customize the AI engine, any custom prompting, relevant keywords, if you want user feedback enabled, right? And what you want the responses to be if they do give you feedback. You'll also be able to have different limits. So depending on how many credits you want to have and how often you want it to engage with your users, you can fully customize that. Your user-facing text, so what they're going to see, right, when they actually click into that agent. And then you're basically giving it your sources. So you can have it web crawl certain pages. This is where you can give it the different flows and things you've built with user flow. So it'll actually suggest those contextually. You can add raw text, connect to a bunch of different help centers, but very easy to build that. You would train it and test it here. And then if we go over to the analytics, which is where we'll see more of like the AI signals, this is where you can filter by date ranges, types of users. You can see the different messages receives, likes, dislikes. This is where you can see more of the AI signals. So what topics are people actually not liking the responses? What's going most unanswered? And you can actually see, the summary here, the sources that are referenced, the specific users that are not getting the answers to their questions. So you can either reach out to them personally, right? Or you can retarget them with different content you build within user flow as well. And that's what you'll have on the signals piece here. I think for the most part, that's adoption agent today. Um, Lauren, I don't think I'm missing anything in terms of where we are today on it.
No, that was a great overview. Fate, I can reshare my screen. And all right, and I'll pass it back to you. That can you see this okay?
I got it. Yeah, I got
Okay,
it.
awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. So, the best way to think about it is this, we've kind of shifted, right? So it used to be a chatbot would answer questions, right? And everyone's kind of used to that. But what we are now, right, is this adoption agent's going to not just answer questions, but it's going to, just like with everything else you can build with user flow, it's designed to get engagement and drive the outcome. So it's not only going to answer the question for your end user, but it's going to give contextual guidance on how best to do whatever action they're asking, recommend certain flows or walkthroughs that you've built that are relevant for them, right? And take them there. And then from your end, as you saw, you're going to get the signals to see what's working, what's not, what you need to iterate over time. In terms of plans, if you're curious, right? So adoption agent and the AI signals are going to be on all plans. The actual contextual guidance, right, where you get the data-driven actions and all that good stuff, that's going to be on the pro and enterprise plans. Yeah. And then coming soon, right? So what you saw with the adoption agent is going to be great to drive your users to outcomes and all the things we talked about. But you also are going to have, right? What's important is seeing what precisely is driving adoption all throughout your product, right? And so what we've got coming soon with product adoption insights is going to allow you to, have much deeper understanding of what's driving adoption, what you can do to accelerate it, how you can optimize it. And you're going to have it, all in one place. So you're not going to have to skip between, I'll go to my analytics tool or my engagement tool back and forth, right? It's all going to be in one place. So very excited about that, and that's coming very soon.
Yes, more to come on that and later this month. So you'll hear about this very soon. Thanks for giving a little sneak peek of it, Fate. All right, so that is the main summary of the webinar. We have plenty of time for Q&A, so please feel free to add them in the chat. We'll have Harish, our PM, join for this portion as well. And a bunch of questions already came through, so I can start with those. But anything else that pops up, put them in the chat and we will get to them if we have time, because we have about 10 minutes left to answer questions. All right, let's kick this off. The first question, what types of questions does the adoption agent handle best?
So the adoption agent, right? Anything that is informational today, it's already able to answer. What we have added as a capability now is that any problem that your customer faces, if you want to guide them in a certain way, if you want to say that these are the places you need to go in order to get your outcome, we will literally guide you towards every single step that you need to do in order to achieve that. That's the change that we have brought. It would work in any context today, just like it answers questions informationally today. It would be able to answer anything in a guided manner as well. It just depends on what do you give it as the training data set. So if you have built out flows for yourself, that work out for you, then yes, it will be able to answer any questions related to any part of your product.
And what I would just add there, right, is similar to right any LLM that exists out there, right? It's going to have the same criteria because it's powered right by the same type of engine. So if it's a very specific question, it's going to have a much more specific answer with much more specific guidance. If it's more broad, it'll have more broad guidance. So it's going to be like any other LLM out there in terms of what questions it could handle best or differently.
Awesome. Fate, the example that you showed was a pretty simple walkthrough. Someone asked,
Mhm.
can it go through multi-step, more complicated workflows that it pushes someone you through?
Yes, it definitely can, right? So you can get very, very specific with it, right? And it can actually give very specific guidance. And, right, if you're using user flow and you've built all these different flows and they've got multiple steps or this flows for that, like it's going to recommend what is actually, what's the best word? Actionable and relevant, right? So you shouldn't have any issues there.
Awesome. And one of the questions is around, can flows be personalized based on user segment or behavior that they're exhibiting?
The flows, absolute. Sorry, Harish, I didn't know if that was clear to you, but the flows absolutely can be personalized, and honestly, it'd be something we recommend, right? So, but that's going to be done on the flow level. So when you're building your content with user flow, right, you can customize either persona based. So if they're this type of user, they see this type of flow, right, or they see this in the flow, or you could even go contextual. If they haven't done this action, they should see this step, and so a lot of that customization is actually going to be done on the flow level. And then when they get certain responses, right, and they go through that flow, they're going to have different experiences based on who they are, whatever context you've given user flow. Is that right, Harish? Is there anything I missed there?
Yeah, so yeah, that's all right, Faith. But I'd like to add, right, that the intelligence is already there in the system. It's not like you'll have to tell everything to the system that this needs to come to this particular type of users or something of that sort. Intelligence is inbuilt, but then if you have very specific constraints, some places where you don't want to definitely not show something at any given cost, yeah, there we have checks and balances that you can put in manually as well there. So we have both ways. We have the intelligence driving things as well. But yeah, if you want to do something very manually and ensure that there is no chance of something coming up anyway, yeah, we have a manual method to do all of that as well. So yeah.
A question around signals. What type of signals does it surface?
So yeah, when it comes to the AI, the adoption agent signals, right? We focused on three core areas of the product. Whatever your customers are asking to the adoption agent, we have divided the topics into three ways. One is answers which are getting a lot of dislikes, answers where situations where the agent is not able to give out any response, and places where your customers are reaching out a lot for it. Does not matter if the agent is able to answer it or not. We want to bring your focus in these three areas and help you take up two or three types of actions. You either improve your content base based on the unanswered queries, which basically mean that you don't have the content your customers are expecting you to have. So you need to go ahead and improve your knowledge base, bring data that will ensure that these questions are asked. There are places where we are giving answers, but the customers are not liking it. So you may have to go ahead and change your way you teach your customers what to do itself because the answer that you gave wasn't really working for them. You need to change the way, and that is where the power of guides would really come into picture. We're not asking them to do stuff, you're making them go and do the stuff automatically with hand-holded guidance. The last part is the popular topics where we are telling the customers that, okay, this is your pattern of everything that is being asked across your knowledge base, across places where your customers can reach out to you. And that is sort of the most powerful thing because you get an overall view of where are the friction points on your product. Where is it that you need to improve your product in general? And this could have multiple end steps to it, right? You could create a new feature, you could enhance your product, you could enhance your knowledge base. All of these three can happen. So these are the type of goals or focus areas that you want to nudge you towards. And the reason we have divided our topics into three different parts around dislikes, unanswered, and popular topics is to help you give that directional sense. That's what we are aiming towards with the signals.
And just to tie a bow on this, what I would say, right, is the logic behind what the signals surface is similar to kind of our main priority throughout all of user flow, right? Which is We want our main priority is people engage with what you build with us, they like it, and it can drive you to the outcomes, right? And so all these different things that we surface, what we find the most engaging, and it's probably isn't a surprise to anybody, right? But the most engaging product experiences are iterative, right? They change over time, they're not static. And so the type of things we surface is to basically give you those insights to say, we're going to tweak this in our product, or we're going to tweak this in our user flow experience and kind of change these dials, right, to drive up the engagement and outcomes.
The next question, how long does it take to get the adoption agent live and how much engineering work does it require?
I mean, I could speak to this a little bit. Does not take hardly any time, right? You can train on your documentation very, very quickly. In terms of engineering work, I mean, I'm just a fellow from Texas, and I got ours set up in the demo environment very, very quick, right? I mean, you don't really need any engineering work. The only thing you really have to do is embed our JavaScript, right? So it's in your product. But other than that, you should be good.
Awesome. Someone asked, can we train the model with training videos? Can it decipher videos right now?
So it does not take videos directly, but if you have flows which have flows videos embedded in them, you can obviously use those flows to be triggered via the adoption agent. So yeah, just like on our knowledge based answers that we were giving, we were looking at only textual data. Here, it's not specific to a textual or type of content. If your flows have something and the flows have enough context behind them for the agent to understand that this is what needs to be recommended, then it will go ahead and do that. And there is nothing stopping you from having embedded videos on any of your flows today. So yeah, if that's the question, then yes, we can recommend things with videos as well. But if you are asking for direct video recommendations, then no, that's not something that we do today.
Awesome. Um, let's see, what other question? Right now, are the building of flows and user flow still manual, or can AI create those for you based on where your users are?
So we do not create flows on the fly. So it's not like we create a new guide for your customer right when they ask for something. But what we do is with the topics that we are mentioning through the flow signals, we give you enough context for a prompt to create a smart flow automatically. So you can take the context from the topics and then use that same context to create a smart flow for yourself. So that's the level of automation that we have today. But no, we do not create a flow on the fly. That's not something that we are supposed to do.
And I'm gonna sound like a broken record here. Part of like that we did think about that, and it's something we still think about. But part of the reason that it is the way it is we want people to engage with it. So if you have something that creates it without any oversight and does it immediately, what is the engagement going to look like? So that's why we're at the place we are right now on it. So just something to note.
Do users have to trigger the flow or does it start automatically? I can answer this one. It does not start automatically. It gives them a button option to start it. It also provides them context within the answer and can point to some help documentation, but it does give an option to start a guided walkthrough if there is one applicable for it. Another question, how do you see this feature impacting adoption or activation rates and having an impact on those metrics?
Yeah, the whole idea behind this feature is to help your customers whenever they feel stuck on the product, right? The whole idea is that they do not have to figure out when to click, where to click, and what to click. If there are certain actions that drive activation for you, that drive PQLs for you, that drive conversions for you, the goal is that you guide your users, take them to that place which is important for your product for to get the most value out of your product. So that's what this guide does. And yeah, in my opinion, it's going to be a very high value thing that you'll deploy with your adoption agent today, where you are not asking your end users or your customers to do anything on the product on their own. We are literally telling them that, oh, you need to go in here, you need to do this, and the stuff happens the way you want your users to use the product. So, yep,
What
that's the
what
value.
what Harish is saying is we guarantee a 400%, but no. No, I mean I'm very excited about it. So the people that I partner with and work with on the user flow end, we're all very excited. And I think Alex brought up the context as to why, right? Is because everything's changing. Like not just how people want to build things, but what they expect the end user experience to be, right? And so this is really going to start to meet, I think, end users where they are and where they're going. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I think it will have an impact on those different metrics.
Awesome. I know we are at time, so thank you all for these great questions and for joining us today. We will be in touch with the recording and the slides, so stay tuned for those over the next few days. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thanks,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Bye, everyone.